All right, guys, we are back again. Dynamic Man Podcast, episode 93. Can you make a frigid woman a sexual freak? It's going to be a fun show today, guys. This can be a fun show. We are running late, but I think that's okay. I think actually I'm going to move these shows a little bit later, maybe to 11:15 officially, because God knows we're not going to start on time. So we might as well not pretend that it's going to happen on time. I've got a souvenir gris here from Poland. This is from, what the fuck is this from? So I have to read Polish here. Vinica Fredrówka. Okay. So it's in the area of the Kamieniec Castle. And I don't know where this it's near the Krajobrazowego Park. Whatever. Souvenir gris is a hybrid. I know some of you guys like it when I have a glass of wine for these things. All right, we're going to dig into this today. Can you make a frigid woman a sexual freak? We had some good back and forth today or yesterday, let's say, on the timeline. And what did we have on the timeline that was such a big deal? What was going on exactly? Well, I will tell you guys. I'll tell you what was happening. We had this woman, Chisette, at the bottom here. Okay, now I want to make this point abundantly clear. All right, because I don't want people to jump on me about this. I don't want people to freak out about the fact that I'm quoting this woman who is in an open relationship, okay? She's in an open marriage, I think, actually. She's pregnant. She's in an open marriage. She's one of Ayala's San Fran polycule. It's one of Ayala's San Fran polycules. Bow-tied asset. What's up, my man? This wine isn't that good. I'm just going to tell you this. It's not that, it's got an aftertaste to it, but it's one of those things like when a wine is at such a perfect, like a white wine is at such a perfect temperature. That's where I'm at right now with this wine. Very perfect temperature. Very refreshing. Very refreshing, guys. Okay. So, so she's talking about how most of the party girls I know from college are married and pregnant. They've had their first kid. We're in our early 30s. My friends who slept around less, not all, are more likely to be single or in LTRs with unclear futures. I don't think this is causal. More that girls who are a bit boy crazy, blah, blah, blah. The rest of it doesn't matter. She's basically saying sluts get married, prudes don't. And people, of course, you know, you bring up this whole like topic and you're immediately going to get people who are like, you quoted a whore. I'm like, yeah, I did. I knew she was one too. Okay, I wasn't trying to like hide that from people. But here's the thing, guys. All right, we got to talk about this. If you think that the argument being made here that girls who, you know, have indulged in casual sex, I'm not talking about open relationship, you know, big time sluts, right? But I'm talking about women who went through like party phase, who've definitely engaged in casual sex at various points in their life, okay? If you think that my argument, my even a broken cock is right twice a day, oh man, that's brutal. Watch out, guys. Make sure you don't break your cock, okay? That's not a fun thing to happen. I knew a guy that happened to. It's not a fun thing to happen. If I'm just saying you're kind of run-of-the-mill girl who's participated in modern hookup culture, maybe not to an extreme, but just like average number, high single, under 20, let's say, partners. A lot of people freak out. when you say that, whatever. Under 20, above 5 sexual partners. That's the range I'm talking about here. Okay. Even people really freak out, even under 30. Okay. Depending on their age. But they don't, a lot of those girls get married. A lot of them get married. I'm not talking about the ones who have, run through 50, 100 guys. I'm not talking about those girls. I'm talking about the ones, because the thing is, it's very easy for a girl to get to that range I'm talking about. Like you literally have like 2 relationships and 5 hookups, casual sex / situationship things by the time you're 30, and you are definitely at double digits pretty much, right? Not hard to do. And you look at the number of years it's not a lot of being single in this world. It's not a lot for a pretty girl to manage. I'm talking about a bombshell girl. I'm talking about like a pretty girl. Okay. All right. So what is the point with all this stuff? Why are we talking about it? Why are we talking about it? Because if people are trying to say that this argument is invalidated because the girl in question who got married is a total whore, that doesn't invalidate the argument. If anything, it amplifies the argument. Because if a woman who's like literally participating in orgies, who's a fluffer at orgies, okay, and don't check that girl's account because it's it looks like an OnlyFans ad basically, except she's pregnant. So I'm like, who is this girl? I'm like, oh shit. Okay. People don't want to hear this. I know the trad guys don't want to hear it. No one wants to hear it. And I'm not endorsing it. I'm not endorsing it, but we have to understand like what is actually happening here. I'm not one of these people. I'm never going to accept some sort of, argument that if something is happening, it needs to be discussed. It needs to be accepted. And the reality is that a lot of sluts are getting married. They are. A lot of them are getting married. Why are a lot of sluts getting married? Okay, I'll tell you why. There's 2 types of sluts. There is the slut who is fucked up. I know that you think they're both fucked up, but let me be clear here, okay? And I'm not saying that they're both not fucked up, okay? But there is the slut who has very, very bad kind of self-worth, attention-seeking tendencies, and is constantly chasing after validation from men, and has very, very low sexual barriers. So she has a lot of sex. There's like a subtype of this type of slut, by the way, who is a very tragic figure because she's like an inadvertent slut. She's a slut because she gives away her heart way too easily. So she feels something for a guy and she immediately has sex with him. And then the guy uses her and moves on. Those women get wrecked. Okay. Those are the women who historically really, really needed like their fathers and their brothers to step in and create barriers. Because if you've met some of these girls, they're very sweet. I know a lot of guys, a lot of clients have ended up sleeping with one of these girls, and it's been very healing for them because the girls are open. But they're very tragic figures because they don't have enough boundaries around themselves, right? They just give it up too easy. But this whole like half of the slut cluster are women who are either because of this low boundaries or because they're really desperate and chasing after guys' attention. They feel like they have to give it up. There's like a blurring between this stuff here, but you get my point. If they've been sexually abused, right? But they just go out and they have sex. Some of it's a little bit more there's the tragic ones, and there's the more megalomaniac slut who just is like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna hook up. They're the ones who kind of bought a lot more into feminist hookup culture stuff. And then there's the other half of sluts who are girls who just really like sex. They just really, really like sex, and they're really open, very, very high openness. And they have sex a lot because they enjoy having sex a lot. So, that's a very particular, those girls are going to always land on their feet. That category of slut, always going to land on their feet. And I'm going to tell you why they land on their feet. There's two reasons. I talked about one of them online pretty directly. I said it's neuroticism. Okay? I talked about neuroticism in the sense of a frigid woman. How frigid women who I would say, I'm going to say, like, with a 90% confidence interval, if a woman is over 25 and she has not had sex, she's got some neurotic tendency or hang up around sex. It doesn't mean it's that she's frigid, but it does mean she has some hang-ups around sex. It also doesn't mean that you can't work through it, but as you start to get to 30 and beyond, you start to have a much different relationship to sex that these women have. You are very, very, very much increasing the odds that they are going to have some sexual problems. Whether it is a very frigid attitude towards sex, or whether it is a very kind of dysfunctional, horny but very ashamed of horniness. Okay? That happens with a lot of particularly religious girls who are there that long. So this is something that we gotta take it into consideration here. But the girls who are very high openness, there's two things about them. One is a lot of these girls tend to have relatively low levels of neuroticism. And they like guys. Okay? This is like, everybody's talking about like vetting, and they're talking about notch counts. Everyone's talking about notch count. I'm like really sick of this fucking conversation. I just don't think it means what people think it means anymore. I just don't think it means what people think it means anymore. It's not a good thing. We don't like a woman with a high notch count. We don't like it. I don't like it. You don't like it. Okay? I'm not trying to say it's a great thing, but it's a really bad variable to hang your hat on. If there's one variable for you to hang your hat on, I'm going to tell you what that variable is. She likes men. If she likes men, if she loves men, the more she loves men, the better of a wife she's going to be. The more she hates men, the worse of a wife she's going to be. I don't know why this is so hard for people. It's not, if she's a virgin. Okay, was she a virgin because she hates men? Is she a virgin because she hates male sexuality? Does she think male sexuality is gross and it's a sin? You are in for a world of pain, buddy. I were you, I might take a girl who's had some bodies on her, who likes men. That's a much better, I'm not saying it's the ideal, but if you got to choose one or the other, you want to be with a woman. She hasn't been with any men because she doesn't trust men. She doesn't think men are, she she thinks men, male sexuality is a problem. So when you want to sleep with her, she has some issues around that, at least viscerally, if not intellectually. These are things that guys got to really think about. Women who like men land on their feet with men. And guess what? Same goes for men with women. It's another reason why the red pill is poison. Okay, I haven't talked about this so explicitly, and it's been a while since I talked about it at all. So I'm going to go riff off of this. Okay, don't worry, we're going to frigid women becoming sexual freaks. We're going to get into this. Can you do it? How to do it? We're going to get to that. But I gotta set this foundation for you guys. Okay, the problem with the red pill, one of the many problems, let's say, with the red pill, is that it makes men hate women. It does. It makes men hate women. In the same way that feminism makes women hate men. We can talk about all sorts of different stuff, like how it affects roles, how it affects polarity. That stuff's important, but I'm going to tell you something. If you have a woman who's a career woman who hates cooking, doesn't like cleaning, and she's got a more assertive personality, but she's fit, and she likes men, and she's cool with male sexuality, that woman's going to find a guy. She's going to find a guy. The nature of their relationship may be a little bit different than the sort of stereotypical trad norm. It may have a different quality of the polarity, but she's going to find a guy. She's going to find a guy because she likes men. Okay? Now, of course, there's a question that if she pushes men away with her demeanor for such a long time, will she continue to like men? Women can become bitter based on rejection. But statistically, she's going to find a guy because she's attractive and because she likes men. Because she likes men, that means she's actually able to work with a guy. You hear me talk about like good faith, win-win dynamics, right? Good faith, win-win dynamics. A predicate of having a good faith, win-win dynamic is that you don't view the opposite sex as the enemy. Like, think about this for a second. Like, if a woman hates men, how is she going to operate in win-win with you? That's like saying, you're my enemy, but I'm going to work cooperatively with you. It doesn't work like that. When a woman hates men, she's automatically set into a win-lose dynamic with him. Even if she's attracted to him, she's set into win-lose dynamic. This is another reason why I don't like it when guys try to overlook major political differences in a relationship. I'm not talking about the sort of like, light kind of liberal who's a liberal because her friends are liberals, but she doesn't really care about these kind of politics and whatever. I'm not talking about that. A woman who's kind of extra agreeable and she's just around people who think a certain way, so she agrees with them. I'm talking about women who believe that politically speaking, are the enemy. It's going to be very hard for you to be in a relationship with this kind of person in the long term, because that adds a vector where they can view you in antagonistic terms. But the biggest one is if they don't like men. Same goes for men who don't like women. If you don't like women, like when I work with guys who are like deprogrammed from the red pill kind of stuff. And by the way, for me, deprogramming from the red pill is not trying to say fundamental red pill truths aren't true. It's trying to deprogram from the negative energy and attitude they tend to adopt with it, and also the dogmatism in which they apply it. Okay? Because the red pill obviously has true observations about female nature. The problem these guys have is a lot of them hate women. And then they wonder why they struggle with women. It's kind of hard to get a woman to like you when you don't like them. I love women. I love them. Okay? And when I was single, I really loved them. And it made it really easy for me to do well with them because when I was around women, I wanted them to feel good. Now, we talked about this benevolent misogyny. I'm a benevolent misogynist. Okay? Because I believe in the differences between men and women, and I don't take women very seriously in a lot of ways. And it's improved my relationships with them. But there's a lot of love. There's a lot of love. Me seeing that they're different does not mean that I think that they're lower. Okay? It's not me condescending to them. There's just certain domains that I'm like, okay, I know what a woman is. I know what a woman's meant for a man in relation to a man. I know what to expect of a woman, what not to expect of a woman. That makes it easier for me to work with women, okay? So when you are trying to meet a woman, it's very, very important that you determine how she feels about men. And a lot of these sluts like men. They might like men too much. They might like them too much. Bowtied asses point out here with those girls, one won't be enough. That's a real fact. But I'm going to tell you something that a lot of guys end up preferring or falling for, at least, the whore, because they actually feel like they can be themselves around the whore. Like, this is a really common dynamic with guys who are in fucked up marriages where their wife is absolutely unable or unwilling to basically care about their world and their needs, and they feel really misunderstood and neglected in their marriage, and they go and they see an escort, and the escort doesn't judge them. The escort, and yes, she's being paid to do this, okay? These women really, like, higher IQ prostitutes are the women who understand male psychology better than, like, anybody. They've seen guys at their absolute most raw and vulnerable state, and they have total power over them in those moments. That's why those women can rake in tons and tons of money. It's not because they're hot. Yeah, being attractive is a cost of entry, but you'd be surprised how attractive they actually have to be. What makes a lot of these women, like Ayala, for instance, Ayala is like, she's fine. You know what I mean? She's not like a super hot girl, and she admits it herself. This girl in this post here, like, I didn't see her face, chest or whatever. She did not seem like a particularly attractive girl. I'm not saying she's an unattractive girl. I'm just saying she's very like average to slightly above average. You know what I mean? Like, she's somewhere between 5 and 7. You got to see her face. She's somewhere in that range. It's not like a bombshell girl by any stretch of the imagination, from what you can tell. Whatever. She's really excited for cock. And she doesn't judge your cock or your performance. She just has a good time, and she doesn't have any expectations in that kind of sense of you. Okay? Like, how do they do it? They do it because they understand that like, how to make the man feel fully accepted. Think of how tragic this is. A man's married, and his wife hates who he is. Not simply as a person, but as a man, being a man. That's what I can't stand about so much of these fucking trad women, on Twitter at least. I can't fucking stand how much they hate men. You should be in a convent. You should not be married. You have major, major issues with male sexuality. You should be away from men. You can't handle them. Those women need to learn something from the whores. They shouldn't be like the whores, but they should learn something from them. There's no reason that a man should feel more comfortable going to an escort than to his wife. There's no reason that should happen, but it does happen. And that's why when one of those escorts or one of those women decides she wants just promiscuous woman, she's having her fun, but she's not even maybe getting money for it, and she decides that she wants to get into a serious relationship, she wants to get married, she wants to have kids, she's going to find guys to do it. Because those guys have to deal with the fact that it's a risk she might sleep with another dude, which is a serious risk. Don't get me wrong, it's a serious risk. But everything else that she's offering is so good compared to a lot of the average woman that's why guys do that. That's why guys allow themselves to be this sort of like cuck. It's a different kind of cuck though, because they're just like, they're actually feeling understood. It's not like she's not going out of her way to humiliate him. She's just is who she is. I want you to think about that for a second. Okay? So if you think you're going to have a good marriage with a woman who does not like sex and does not like and has a lot of issues with men even, right? You're going to be in for a world of hurt. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You get to neurodivergent, there starts to become like the women increasingly, and someone made a good comment that maybe this is not the case for the very average women who probably don't get enough attention to be able to, you know, have their chastity tested, right? That's a fair pushback. Someone made that pushback that like women who are, you know, 3 to 5 maybe on the scale, they may be virgins into their 30s because they just never got enough attention from guys to lose it, basically. Yeah, they didn't want to go out and be promiscuous, so that's why they're virgins, but it's not to do with any kind of pathology. I could agree with that, but if a girl's a 6, 7, 8, right? Certainly an 8, but 6 or 7, let's say. And I would even argue a lot of the 5s too, right? That range, those women are usually going to get, like, they're either going to have sex, like they're either going to have some kind of casual sex or sex in a relationship, or they're going to be married by the time they're 25. You're not going to find virgins in that category. Every year, you're going to find less of them unless there's something wrong with them. I'm not saying 100%, but I'm saying it's a high percentage. Because those women, if they wanted men and if they wanted sex, they could get a guy and they could marry him, but they haven't done it. So that tells you that there's an emotional issue or a sexual issue going on. It's not restraint at that point. They have enough attention. So they either emotionally have an issue getting close and being intimate with a guy, or they're really freaked out about sex, which kind of becomes the same thing, because how are you able to get emotionally close with a guy but not get sexually close? There's a point where those two things intersect in a romantic dynamic. So let's say, though, you do end up with one of these women. Let's say you do it. Let's say you end up with one of these women. And it's time to have sex, and she doesn't want to have sex. She is, and someone, you know, someone in the comments was basically talking about like, oh, like, just because she doesn't have like this like big gag reflex because she's taking down all these cocks, you know, that means like, oh, so I'm supposed to not like, I'm supposed to want a girl to have gotten that kind of experience. I'm like, dude, first of all, like, what kind of fucking stuff are you watching? Because obviously this is the first thing on your mind. Like, I'm talking about like a frigid, not sexually open woman, and your immediate thing is to go to, oh, so she's like not gagging and drooling all over the place when she's taking out, when she's taking my cock all the way down her throat. Like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, let's chill for a second here, okay? Take a step back. When you're dealing with a sexually frigid woman, it has nothing to do with that. I'm not talking about sexual inexperience. I don't care about sexual experience. Let's make this clear. Sexual experience with a woman is irrelevant. You can get some benefits in bed from a woman who has sexual experience, obviously, because she's going to know how to please you better. But that is not a reason to choose a woman. Okay? It's not a reason to choose a woman, because you can make a sexually inexperienced woman sexually experienced with yourself. Okay? You guys can become good in bed together. That is not a prerequisite for anything. If anything, it's a consolation prize that she's good in bed because she's had experience. It's a consolation prize, okay, to the fact that she's been with other guys. It's not like a win, but it could be worse. It could be worse. She could have been with other guys and she could be terrible in bed. You know what I mean? It could be worse. I am talking about frigidity, lack of openness. A woman who doesn't have experience but likes guys and is horny, man, you can make her really good in bed. I had one client recently. He was his girlfriends had been with only one other guy before. She's very good in bed. Okay? She had learned it from, she had learned it from the prior relationship, okay? It's not that's not like a heartwarming thing. But the point is, she had become good in bed from one guy. I would actually argue that, you can make an argument for breadth and depth, but I think fundamentally you become better in bed through depth, as in being with one person in mastering it. Okay, you get specialized with them and their body, but you have the benefit of overcoming a lot of your own sort of sexual hangups, rather than, you have more like awareness of different things that can be going on when you're with multiple different people. But you don't have a chance. You would have to be with those people. Like, probably, let's be honest here, if you wanted to find like the absolute maximum kind of range of like what kind of things you would make you good in bed, it would probably be like multiple month relationships with women, so that you'd have enough time to really learn how to make each woman tick, and you did it with multiple different women. That would be the kind of objective thing. But I'm digressing here. I'm digressing. All right, let's get back on topic. Let's say you end up though with a woman and she's frigid and she's not into sex at all. Well, first off, check the hormonal stuff. Okay, what's going on with her hormonally? Has she always been like this? I do wonder how much some of those women, if they got on testosterone, how much that would help. If they had some testosterone supplementation, how much would that help their sex drive if it's that low? But putting aside the hormonal stuff, you have to be really willing to confront it. You have to be willing to confront it and not accept it, right? I think you have to be willing to walk away in these kind of situations. You show that you really want her. You show you really want her, but you also have to like express the frustration. But it's also like, are you being fully expressed with her? Because I'll tell you this, and I know it's very difficult, but we naturally mirror each other. So the more sexually open a woman is, the more it makes us feel open sexually. So the less shame a woman has around her own sex, the less shame we have, and vice versa. That's why if you don't have shame around sex, you can make a lot of women have really good sexual experiences with you, because a lot of women have shame around sex. So you make them feel less ashamed in that area, which automatically makes you better lover. But when you're dealing with a woman who's very closed and frigid, her shame, her restriction starts to fall off onto you. And so it makes you feel shamed and restricted too. So you have to like really, really hold on to being open. You have to be as unashamed sexually as possible in those situations. So you have to realize that her response is not about you. It's about her. But here's the thing, obviously, you can do that and maybe it opens her up a bit because she feels less pressure, but to some extent, not feeling pressure allows her to be super lazy. So these women will starfish, right? They won't do anything. They'll just be checked out of it. And you have to be willing, you have to see if you're willing to tolerate that or not. I think that you can increase a frigid woman's sexuality, but you're not going to really change much until you get to the essence of the problem. What is the epicenter? What is the epicenter of her? What is the epicenter of her hang up? Is she willing to confront herself about it? Because really what happens is that if you're not willing to walk away, like you walking away is what, because a lot of times these women, they want to have you, but they don't want to actually nurture you. It's like wanting to have like some, it's a terrible analogy. Guys are going to get triggered by the analogy. It's like having like a dog, but not wanting to feed it. You know what I mean? Like I want to have a pet, but I'm not going to take care of it. It's like shitting on the floor. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of like idea. These women want to have a relationship. They want to have a marriage, but do they actually want to nurture the marriage? Do they want the marriage to be healthy? Do they just want to control the man? They understand that sex is how they control the man. I don't agree with guys who say just go out and sleep with other women. I understand how that can stimulate her interest, but the trust issues that come from dread are very, very substantial. I don't think it's a great thing. I don't think it's a great thing to do. I think if you have to use active dread, you're already in a pretty precarious situation in your relationship. Passive dread, different story, right? Just self-improvement, getting out more, whatever, making yourself look better. So yes, this is exactly right, Botat. They want to nurture the relationship, but only in the ways they want to. So for them, it's all about maintaining control. And of course, they understand that sex is one of those means of control. It's my contention, and this is what I'm all building to in the show. It's my contention. A lot of the sexual issues that women have, a lot of those sexual issues are really much more control issues and emotional issues, because they don't want to, for them, letting go sexually not only makes them more vulnerable, but it loosens their control within the relationship. So a lot of times these women, it's not that they don't even want to have sex, it's that they won't allow themselves to have sex in a committed relationship. Or they won't allow themselves to have like real open sex. And you have to, as a man, not let her have control over you. You have to, and that is both an internal thing of accepting it's not your fault, but then also deciding what you want to do. If you're going to stay, it's your choice to stay. She's not making you stay. If you want to leave, you can leave. How does that impact her own response? Pretty sure it's all control or emotion. I've met so many neurotic girls. I mean, this is it. This is it. And here's the really dark side of it, is that as a result of all this, sometimes this woman who doesn't like sex in a different context was a fucking insane slut. Like all that stuff is an outlet. I heard of a story. It's a client many years ago. He was in basically a dead bedroom situation. His wife never liked sex. She was never affectionate. Very, very, closed off and constrained, very Christian. And then she had an affair, caught her having an affair on Seeking Arrangements. And it was with one guy in particular, but there was others as well. And she was just like filthy. She spent like a year or two just being a whore. And then he caught her. And all that stuff stopped and it was done. And it was all bottled up again. I think they had like a very brief kind of period where some of that energy was going on to their sex life, but mostly was all closed up again. So you see, is that woman, does she not have any sexuality, or was it hidden underneath the control? A lot of the alpha fucks beta buck stuff, not all of it, because a lot of it, who are you as a guy? How are you showing up? But a lot of this stuff comes from emotional issues on the part of the woman. And by the way, guys have their own version of it too. Okay. Like guys do their own thing when it comes to women. They have their own split where they want the good girl, but they actually go after the bad girl. They cheat on the good girl with the bad girl. Men do the same thing. But a lot of times these very frigid women, they will choose to be with the beta because they can control the beta. And the only reason they can enter into an intimate relationship, a committed relationship, they have to control the intimacy in the committed relationship. Whereas when they're having a casual fling with some guy who's not commitment capable, they can be more open because there's less risk for them. So those women have to break out of that. The men in the same category have to do the same thing, to break out of that and not separate intimacy from control, right? They have to get rid of the control and allow themselves to express sex in a more healthy way. But of course, one of the things it also means is that, you can, if you want her to open up to you sexually, you can't allow her to control you. And there's the more toxic way of that is by kind of being like the asshole and, the dread and everything like that. And the less toxic version of that is simply being willing to walk and holding her to face herself if she wants to be with you. But I don't think you can make a frigid woman per se a sexual freak. I don't, certainly not in a healthy way, right? Because even when those frigid women, they integrate their sexuality better, you end up somewhere in the middle. It's very hard to shift openness. You understand? Even if you get her to have sex more often, it's very hard to shift fundamental openness. You can only move it so much. So be prepared for what you're going to get, and also be prepared for a lot of work, a lot of patience. Okay? Because a lot of the things I'm talking about, they take years to break through. They take years to break through. And are you willing to wait for her to figure it out? Are you willing to wait for her to confront why she's all closed up? Some of these women have it so bad they actually have like vaginitis. Like where the pussy is contracting so much you can't even penetrate them. They have to use like dilators to try to open, like it's like a dildo to try to like open up. It's pretty crazy. I've worked with a couple clients whose wives or girlfriends had that kind of situation. So I hope this was edifying for you guys. As always, if you like the video, go get on my email list. Get a free copy of my book, 3 Pillars of Attraction. PatStedman.com. Go to the website. I love you all, and I will see you on Monday for the next Dynamic Man. And tomorrow we got COVID Cabal on the other channel. So I hope to see you guys there. Take care.